Welcome back, everybody, to the Tennessee Titans franchise here on Madden 23. Today, the Titans have one of their most important games of the season as they face off against the Jacksonville Jaguars in a matchup that has major playoff implications for both sides. We also have a prospect profile today. We'll be going over the offensive and defensive linemen and this year's upcoming draft class before today's ball game. So as it stands now, our Titans are 7-5. We're coming off a nice win last week in Philadelphia against the Eagles by the score of 30-24. The big storyline here was Malik Willis making his first NFL start, and I thought he did pretty damn good. It wasn't always perfect, but I thought he had a productive day throwing the football. We also got to see Odell Beckham's Tennessee Titans debut. He's finally back from his knee injury. However, unfortunately, we did suffer a major casualty in that game as Treylon Burks, our star rookie wide receiver, is out for likely the remainder of the regular season. He looked like the favorite to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year before his injury, which certainly sucks. He's really been playing well as of recent, so hopefully OBJ, Robert Woods, and the other receivers can really step it up. Before we get into today's matchup against the Jags, as I said, we'll be looking at the hog mollies, starting with the offensive linemen in this year's draft class. I think O-line is a major need for us as you look at our current group of guys. I'm not convinced any of these players are going to be long-term pieces for us. Lewan and Jones are getting older. Right tackle's been a revolving door regardless of who's been there. And Nate Davis is on the final year of his contract that has not been extended yet. So we really need to get younger on the offensive line, and luckily this is a very talented offensive line class. The highest projected player we're going to talk about today, regardless of position, is Purdue's offensive tackle, Noshawn Kimboyle. You talk about the perfect blindside tackle, and that's what Kimboyle is. He's 6'8", he's got super long arms. Purdue has a lot of high-end talent, and although the Boilermakers have underperformed this season, it's not at the fault of Kimboyle, who's a great athlete. He's good in the pass game and the run game, and he has not allowed a single sack this year. He has been very steady in pass protection. There just aren't really many question marks about his game, and maybe he doesn't have the physical upside of, say, a Trent Williams, but you're looking at a guy who's going to be really solid for you for 10-plus years. Chidebere Chukwubukum out of Florida is kind of the opposite. I really like his upside. I think the ceiling is definitely there, but he's not as consistent on a play-to-play basis as a guy like Noshawn Kimboyle. When you look at Chukwubukum, the athleticism is very impressive. It certainly pops off the tape. He was a little bit better as a junior than this season as a senior, and I think his stock has gone down a little bit, but he's going to be a top 15 pick. I think the upside with him is too good. The other projected first-round tackle is Sebastian Cross out of the University of Iowa. The Hawkeyes have also really underperformed this season, but it has not been at the fault of their offensive line, who has multiple players who could be first-round picks in this year's class, headlined by Cross at left tackle. Not quite the athlete of the other two players we talked about, but he's one of the best pass-protecting tackles in the entire class. He has allowed 3 sacks this season, which is more than the other two guys we talked about. But don't get it twisted. He's faced off against some really impressive pass rushers and has really held his own. I don't think it's an overly deep left tackle class. You do have some guys like Giles Blackburn, Jurian Pabenga, Jambo Nixon, but no one who really catches my eye outside of that top 3. As we move over to left guard, I really think Stephon Fingard out of the University of Texas is one of the best guard prospects we've seen in recent years. Definitely the best run blocker in the entire draft class, regardless of position. He's one of the main reasons why Texas's run game has been so impressive this year. Needs to be a little bit more consistent as a pass blocker, but he's athletic, he's big, 6'5", 290. Maybe you want him to get a little bit bigger in terms of weight. But I think he's your really prototypical first-round guard. You don't find many offensive guards who are consensus top 20 picks, but I really think Fingard is. Outside of him, there are some names to look out for who could go on day 2. Toa Tuigamala from Miami is really impressive. Look at him paving blocks here, leading to a huge touchdown run by the senior running back Orlando Brooks. Tuigamala is not consistent enough on a play-to-play basis to be a first-round pick. I need to see more from him as a pass protector. He's allowed 33 sacks in his career. He's certainly improved in that aspect this year as a senior, but I feel like there's just something missing with his game, and I think the upside certainly warrants a second or third round pick, and I do think he will be a day 2 selection, but the consistency just isn't really there with him, although it has improved this year as a senior. Nathaniel Forrest Smith from Clemson is really interesting. He's 6'10", That would make him the tallest starting offensive guard in the history of the NFL. He's a really fluid mover for his size, and it's certainly impressive to watch. Again, not always consistent on a play-to-play basis, although I think the production with him has been a little bit better this season than compared to a guy like Toa Tuigomala. Going down the board, one of my favorite gems in this class is Sekou Beto, the French-born guard from Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets have been one of the biggest surprises in college football this season, led by their run game. They've got some really impressive offensive linemen, specifically Sekou Beto, who I think is going to probably be a fourth-round pick, but I look at him as a day 2 talent, maybe someone who should go in the second round. I think that's the type of run blocker that he is, and I think he'll be a starting caliber guard pretty early on into his NFL career. Some other interesting names here down the board: Harlan Dockery, Henry Kiefer as well. It's a loaded center class, and we start with Keelan Aliu-Jones from Notre Dame. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, and he has shown some flashes of brilliance at his time with Notre Dame. And in terms of raw talent, I don't think there is any offensive lineman in this class who has him beat there. Aliu-Jones has missed some time this season with an ankle injury, although it seems like he should be healthy for the end of the season here for the Fighting Irish. I wish he was a little bit more consistent, but he's had a pretty productive senior season. He did allow 13 sacks last season, which isn't ideal, but he has improved as a pass protector as a senior, which I think should cement him as a first-round pick. There are a lot of good centers not too far behind him, including Al Ravenwood III out of Iowa. Ravenwood has been a rock in the Iowa lineup for a number of seasons now. And again, Iowa's been a little bit disappointing this season, but that offensive line is probably the best in the Big Ten, maybe the best in all of college football. Maybe he could bulk up a little bit shy of 300 pounds, but you look at a phenomenal run blocker. He's productive in the pass game as well. I think he's going to be a good starting center as soon as he enters the National Football League. Tommy Kent from Boston College is another highly productive multi-year starter. He's a little bit shorter at 6'2", but he's got a big, stocky frame coming in at around 320 pounds. Boston College's offense has really been impressive this season, and I get the Eagles aren't some great team, but Kent has been a big reason why the Boston College Eagles have scored so many points. One of the best run blockers in the entire draft class. Needs to improve a little bit in pass pro, but he's only allowed 4 sacks this season, which is not a bad mark compared to some of these other centers. He's a pretty good athlete. I wouldn't call him elite in that aspect, but I think he's going to turn some heads at the combine. Christian Frinton Smith is another very talented player coming from USC. He's a little bit small, 6'3", 282. That's why he's projected to be a third-round pick as of now, even if the raw talent is really, really high. I am concerned about the size, but he does have a high level of production, and if he can bulk up a little bit, maybe gain 20 pounds of muscle, then I wouldn't really view it as much of a concern. Gianluigi Mandariano from Florida is another very talented player. He did miss some time earlier in the year with an injury, but he seems healthy here, good to go for the second half of the season for the Gators. Pretty athletic guy. I think he's going to be a player who has a real shot of improving his draft stock once we get to the combine. Good size and length, 6'5", 307, long arms. I think he's had a pretty good season this year for the Gators, and is a guy who could be a really interesting player in the 3rd or 4th round for a team like the Titans, who is going to need to eventually replace 33-year-old Ben Jones. Xander Valsamis from Mississippi State is one of my favorite gems in this draft class. Again, not the biggest. He is an interesting athlete in the sense that he's not fast, but he's super quick, and he's an ox down low. You talk about pure strength with Valsamis. He's been a really consistent starter for the Bulldogs for a number of seasons now, and is a guy who I think should be looked at as a day 2 pick. Moving on to right guard, the top projected player here is Daniel Forrest Smith from Texas. We talked about his brother Nathaniel Forrest Smith a little bit earlier on. Daniel Forrest Smith is an inch smaller than his brother, still ridiculously tall at 6'9". I think he's a lot more consistent than his brother, which is why he's going to probably be a first-round pick. Pretty impressive that Texas has 2 first-round guards, yet they can't muster up a winning record. Forrest Smith is an unbelievable athlete. He's a phenomenal run blocker, and he's really improved in pass protection as well through his 4 seasons as a starter at Texas. I think he's going to be a really safe pick, but the athletic upside is also very exciting. Archibald Ligarius from Ole Miss also has a very good shot of being a first-round pick. I think he's a little bit rough on the edges. He's a little bit raw, But the athleticism with this kid is really, really interesting, and I think that's why he could be a first-round pick when it's all said and done. He's had flashes of brilliance in both pass protection and as a run blocker, but he just has too many games where he has struggled, albeit he is facing off against the best defensive lineman in the country, playing a tough SEC schedule, but he's going to play against elite defensive linemen every week in the NFL. Daniel Miner from Louisville is a really interesting gem. Louisville's pass game has not been what it could have been this season. I thought it could have had a really high ceiling, but Daniel Miner has not been at fault for that. He's a really good pass protector, one of the best in this year's draft class. Isn't an absurd athlete, isn't a great run blocker, but with his pass pro, I think he could be a really interesting guard on day 3 of the draft. Moving to right tackle, there are 2 guys here at the top who are really, really good. As we start with third and end, Sullivan III from Alabama. One of the most NFL-ready prospects in the entire draft class. This kid is an unbelievable pass protector. Maybe you wish he was more of a blind side tackle, but on the right side, he has been phenomenal. 6'5", 334. He gives you the prototypical size you want for an offensive lineman. Really long arms as well. I mean, he's the prototypical first-round NFL tackle, and his production this year has been unbelievable. 27 pancakes to just 1 sack allowed. I think he's played his way into top 10 pick conversation, and if he was a left tackle, he'd maybe be the number 1 overall pick. Luke Coghill from Florida State isn't too far behind him. You might as well refer to Luke Coghill as an IHOP worker because this man makes pancakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He's an unbelievable athlete. This guy is a people mover in the run game. I mean, if you're a defensive lineman in his way on a run play, good luck. You're not getting to the running back. I wish he was a little bit more consistent in pass protection, but as a full-time 4-year starter, he's never allowed more than 4 sacks in a season. So although his pressure numbers might be a little bit high, he doesn't consistently allow sacks, which is a big deal. Cardell Tyree out of Pitt could also be a first-rounder. I think he's a notch below those top 2 right tackles, but I do like him as a potential first-round pick in this year's upcoming draft. Really athletic, very good in pass protection, needs to hold his blocks for longer, particularly in the run game, but I do really like what he brings to the table as a pass protector. He did allow 9 sacks last season, but I think he's been a little bit better in that area this year. And then as we go down the board, some other interesting names here. Isha Olatunji from Virginia Tech. Eric Peterson, he's like 400 pounds. Moving on to the defensive line now. The Titans run a 3-4. Tyre Tart is the nose tackle. Simmons and Epineza are the 3-4 ends. Harold Landry and Bud Dupree are the edge rushers. As it stands now, the Titans are currently ranked 5th in terms of rushing yards allowed, and they are tied for 12th in sacks, although I expect them to finish the season top 10 in sacks with how the pass rush has played over the past few weeks. As we start at left end, Roman Horn III from Southern Miss is really interesting because he's got the athleticism and the production you look for in a first-round pick. He leads college football in sacks this year with 8 on the season, and considering we're just only a little bit over halfway through the year, that number could be 14, 15, 16 by the end of the season. When you see these small school pass rushers who normally get high sack numbers, they don't end up often as high draft picks, but I think Roman Horn is an exception because of his size, length, and athleticism. 6'5", 260, he's got really long arms, he's got great bend off the edge, pretty fast, pretty quick. He's got the athleticism you look for in a top 10 to 15 pick, along with the production. Even though he plays against weaker competition, I still think he's going to be the top pass rusher off the board. Musa Adiwar from Penn State also has a real argument of being a first-round pick. Adiwar's been a highly productive starter for the Nittany Lions, although he hasn't played as well this season as a senior. I was really hoping he'd elevate his game to be in the top 10 pick, but it hasn't really happened. He's more of a traditional power rusher. He's not going to win with finesse, but he's going to win by bullying you and out-strengthening you. He's a little bit small, 6'2", 266, but he plays like he's 50 pounds heavier, and if he can gain some extra muscle, I think that'd be a really big deal and go a long way. Darius Thornton out of Syracuse also has a shot of being a first-round pick. He's raw, he's new to the position, but it's the athleticism that really pops off the tape. He's not as athletic as a guy like Odafe Oweh, but teams like him for the same reason why they liked Odafe Oweh. Even if he wasn't a consistent pass rusher in college, the physical tools are 100% there, and I think some team could look at Thornton as an interesting flyer late in the first round. Jordan McKenzie from Texas, good run stopper. Willie Brodeur from Georgia, very talented as well. But I think Al Cahal from Tulane might be the most interesting pass rusher. Gahal had 13.5 sacks last season, which was amongst the tops in the country. Only has 4 this year, but if you look at his strength, 6'5", 289. Now, there are some character concerns with him. He does have a drinking problem, really living up to the name, but he uses his aggression on the football field, and he runs around like a drunk maniac, which, as a pass rusher, isn't necessarily a bad thing. I really like the depth here at left end. Caleb Hicks, Will Mitchell, Adetokunbo Owudalamolia from Miami of Ohio. As we move to right end, Jair Savage from Kentucky is a very enticing prospect. 6'5", 252. He's kind of a tweener in the sense that he's tall, but he's a little bit skinny. I think he should look to bulk up a little bit. This is the son of former Philadelphia Eagles legendary pass rusher Jair Savage. Jair Savage is a freak show. Super fast, super quick. The upside is there, but it just is a matter of consistently playing well. He only has 1 sack this season and 11.5 sacks in his career. He's just not a great football player right now, but he's so freaky. He's got all the tools to be a great pass rusher, which is why I think he'll be a top half of the first round selection. Anthony Brooks out of Notre Dame also has a real shot of going in the first round. He's another guy who's been a little bit disappointing this season. 6.5 sacks in each of the last 2 seasons. However, that number looks like it'll be lower this season. I think teams have done a really good job of double-teaming him and game planning against him. So because of that, he hasn't really lost his first-round status. He's a plus athlete. He's pretty good in the run game. And although the sack production has been low this year, he still has a good number of pressures. And there aren't many glaring question marks about his game. Chinogo Chusier out of Pitt is a very interesting possible late first-round edge rusher. Another guy who the production hasn't consistently stuck this year, but he's a pretty good athlete. He's pretty well-rounded. He's good against the run. I wish I saw more flashes from him as a pass rusher, which is what I think will ultimately keep him out of the first round. But I do like what he brings in the run game. I do think he is a plus athlete, and some teams may really like what he brings at the combine. D.D. Smith from Iowa is a very polarizing prospect. He had 6.5 sacks as a freshman, and it really looked like he was going to strive as a pass rusher. He does not have 6.5 sacks over the last 2.5 years. He is a very good run stopper, although that production has gone down a little bit the past couple of seasons, mainly because of injury. He looked like a surefire first-round pick a couple years ago. Now, I don't know, probably more the day 2 guy. Jordan Ruffin out of USF is one of my favorite sleepers in the class. 6'8", 260 pounds. He has some of the longest arms in the class. He doesn't have insane speed, but his get-off and his quickness off the edge is very impressive. He wins with finesse. He wins with power. He's strong, despite the fact that he's built more like a hybrid edge linebacker type. I think that positional versatility will go a long way, and he's having a career year on pace to finish with around double-digit sacks. He already has 18 tackles for loss, which is amongst the top in the American Athletic Conference. I think his stock is on the rise, and he's going to turn some heads at the combine. Calvin Watson from Southern Miss is pretty similar to Jordan Ruffin. He's big, he's tall, he's lean. Now, Calvin Watson has the advantage of having Roman Horn II on the other side. Horn, we talked about earlier, is a possible top 15 pick. But Calvin Watson's great as well. He'll probably finish with double-digit sacks as well this season. He's pretty good in the run game as well. With his athleticism and size, I think he's going to be a really intriguing day 3 pick. Apis Phillips from Miami has been a major breakout candidate. I think he's going to be more of an outside linebacker type in the NFL, someone who is probably going to excel in 3-4 schemes with his hand not in the dirt, which is what we run. I think he'd be a good fit for a team like us. He already has a career high in sacks at 6.5, probably going to finish amongst the very top in that category in the ACC. He's very close to his career high in tackles for loss. I could see him being a 3rd-round pick if his stock continues to go up and he continues to play well. Defensive tackle is a very interesting position in this draft class. We start with Sukdeo Toussaint from California. The upside is there. The natural talent is there. He was a 5-star recruit, but it just hasn't really translated. He's had a hard time staying on the field, and he's not going to return this season with a broken collarbone. Only 4 career sacks and 15 TFLs. But the upside is just so intriguing with him, which is why he is still the top projected defensive tackle in his class. The athleticism is really good. He has strong size. Maybe he could bulk up a little bit, but he's big, he's long, he's lean. Speaking of freak athletes, look at Pete Peters out of Baylor. I mean, you talk about quickness and get off in the middle of the defensive line. Pete Peters is a guy who has a really high ceiling. Needs to be more consistent, but he's fast, he's twitchy, he's strong. He's the prototypical build for an NFL defensive tackle. 6'8", 326. He's got great size as well. If he can just learn how to play the position better, this is a guy who I think can become a star with his upside. Next up, we got Zaire Savage II, the twin brother of Jair Savage, the defensive end from Kentucky, and of course, son of Zaire Savage I. I don't think Zaire Savage II is quite as polished as a pass rusher as his dad was coming out of the University of Cincinnati, but I do think Zaire Savage II here has the athleticism, size, and strength to be a pretty good pass rusher in the NFL, and at worst, he'll be a good run defender, I think, for quite some time. Matthew Allen also has a case to be the top defensive tackle off the board. He's developed very linearly at the University of Michigan in the sense that his progression has been very straightforward. He's consistently improved every season at Michigan. He hasn't had a crazy season, but he's always improved. Hard worker, high character kid. This is the type of player you bet on to succeed at the NFL level. And I think Matthew Allen's going to be a really high floor player. Maybe never a Pro Bowl caliber defensive tackle, but someone I'm confident will be quite good. Kermit Cusick from Rice is a really interesting player. I think he'll be a good nose tackle in the NFL. Doesn't fill up the box score, but he is a people mover. He stuffs gaps in the run game. Not going to provide you a ton of value as a pass rusher, but if you're looking for someone who can really stop the run, I think Cusick could be your guy. Julian Mortimer from Texas is very intriguing, All-American with the Longhorns. I think he's more of a lower floor player, but high ceiling. He's shown some flashes of brilliance as a pass rusher. Maybe not the quickest, but he's got a ton of pass rush moves in his toolbox. He's a pretty good run stopper, and somebody who I think has shown small signs of improvement over the past couple of seasons at Texas, and a kid who I think has a real shot of being a better pro than he was college player. Down the board, some other names to watch include Chidi Uzuchukwu, Shaquid Sapp, Bear Simmons, amongst others. So there you go. That's our prospect profile for offensive and defensive linemen. Let me know which players you liked down below in the comments. Let's talk about the current situation for our team. We're 7-5, tied for second with the Jags in the AFC South. The AFC is super deep. I mean, you've got the 8-4 Dolphins, who are not currently projected to make the playoffs. So we're a game back from a wild card spot and a game and a half back in the division. So this is a really important game. We certainly want to come out here and win. And the Jags are in the exact same situation that we are, being that they're in the same division with the same record. It's unfortunate that we're in the AFC because the NFC is way less deep than our conference, but it's just going to be an even bigger challenge for us to make the postseason. Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback for the Jags. I think he's shown some good strides here in year 2. Still not a very consistent passer, but he has definitely improved from his rookie season to now. The Jags spent a lot of money in the offseason on guys like Christian Kirk, Foye Oluokun, and Brandon Scherf. They have a pretty good run game, although they'll be without Travis Etienne today. We'll see how big of an effect that makes. I'm curious to see the number 1 overall draft pick, Traylon Walker, as well. He only has 1 sack this year. All right, here we go. The Jags and the Titans here in Nashville, Tennessee. Huge game for both of these teams. 7-5 in the AFC South, looking to ruffle some feathers in the playoff race. We'll see who can win their 8th game of the season, as the Titans look like they'll be opening up here on offense. Here's another look at the postseason picture. Both of these teams in the hunt, looking to get themselves positioned better to make a playoff spot. The Titans are rocking their baby blue alternate jerseys as we have the first play from scrimmage, a handoff up the middle for Derrick Henry, who gets around 12. Derrick Henry has historically dominated against the Jacksonville Jaguars, so hopefully that streak will continue today. 3rd and 9, Willis incomplete for Odell Beckham. The pressure sent by the rookie linebacker out of Wyoming, Chad Muma. That'll force a punt, and so the Jags get the ball. Here's Trevor Lawrence with the play-action fake here on 1st down. Under pressure, and he connects with Laviska Shenault, who gets around 18 yards. Good throw by Lawrence, pretty solid coverage, but Shenault does a good job at the end of the route to find the football and make the play. 2nd and 5, Lawrence drops back to throw it, goes with Marvin Jones this time, who brings it to the 37. The Jags don't have a clear alpha receiver, but they've got a multitude of weapons, even without Travis Etienne, of course, being injured. First and 10. Lawrence goes up the middle, and it's hauled in this time by James Robinson, who brings it to the 5. An easy drive here for the Jags so far. Trevor Lawrence is 4 for 4, throwing the ball very efficiently. Third and goal, it's James Robinson powering his way into the end zone for a touchdown. The Jaguars march down the field and strike first. Not a great start for Tennessee, but obviously we're pretty early into the game. Things can change very quickly in the National Football League. Second and 10, handoff for Henry here to the left side. He gets a nice run and is brought down at the 46-yard line. Great run block in there. There was a wide open hole on the left side of the line, which obviously Derrick Henry capitalizes from. Following play, Willis goes up the middle. It's caught by Odell Beckham Jr., who brings it to the 30-yard line. Of course, Beckham signed in the preseason after his tearing his ACL in the Super Bowl. Keep in mind, he's only on a one-year contract. Third and 13. Pass is caught by Howard, who caught the ball beyond the first down marker. But because of forward progress, or I guess in this case, backward progress, he loses about 3 after the catch, and thus the Titans are going to have to kick the field goal. 40-yard attempt for Randy Bullock is good. That Randy still has not missed the entire season, and so it is now a 7-3 ball game. Third and 12 for the Jaguars. Lawrence looks to throw it, misfires short. Good pass rush and good coverage by the Titans defense, and so they'll get it back on offense. Second and 10, handoff for King Henry. When the ball is in number 22's hands, good things continue to happen for the Titans as Henry gets another first down, and Tennessee appears to be moving the chains. Henry in the zone here, third and 10. Willis looks to throw it, and he's intercepted. Darius Williams picks it off. He gets pounded by Kyle Phillips. Not a great throw there by Malik Willis, his second interception of the season. Remember, he threw one in the very first game of the year against the Giants. So credit to him for, I guess, not throwing an interception since then. Jags with the ball back. Here's James Robinson on the first play after the turnover, bringing it to around midfield. And so that'll wrap up quarter number 1. The Jaguars look pretty good so far. They lead 7-3. Still plenty of time here for the Titans, but the pass game has looked shaky so far. Malik Willis not playing as well as he did a week ago. From the 38-yard line, Trevor Lawrence looks to throw it. He'll go short. It's caught by Marvin Jones, who stiff-arms a defender. What a play after the catch by Marvin Jones, who brings it to the 19 for a gain of 19. The Jaguars are moving the ball very well here. Second and 3. Handoff for J-Rob. He has room. Robinson brings it just shy to the 1. And the Jags are very close here to the end zone, looking to punch it in. Second and goal. Back to Robinson. He gets his second touchdown of the day, waltzing into the end zone for a score. And Jacksonville now leads 14-3. Time for the Titans to respond. They've got to show something. Good third down run here up the middle by Derrick Henry, who gets about 13. Henry's still averaging 10-plus yards a pop so far today. Following play, about halfway through the second quarter, back to Henry with room to the right side. Henry down the field, stiff arms the defender, still on his feet, and he's wrapped up all the way at the 23-yard line by the rookie linebacker Devin Lloyd. Big run for King Henry, who now has over 100 yards on just 8 carries today. Following play, short pass for Robert Woods. He has it inside the 5, looking to dive into the end zone. He is just short, brought down at the 1. Nice play after the catch there by Bobby Trees. And now the Titans are going to look to punch it in. It's Derrick Henry in for the score. Great drive for King Henry as he continues to have an absolutely dominant season. We have not really talked about Derrick Henry's Offensive Player of the Year chances, but I really think he needs to be in that discussion with how important he has been to this team. Second and 9, short throw up the middle for the $84 million man, Christian Kirk, who gets around 19 yards. Trevor Lawrence spreading the love. No one receiver has had that big of a day, but everybody here is contributing. Lawrence keeps it on the read option. He's got some underrated mobility. Hit hard by Amani Hooker, but he does get a solid gain. The Jaguars are continuing to move it down the field. About a minute left in the half. Third and 7. Lawrence goes short for Evan Engram. Stiff arms the defender. Finally brought down after breaking around 3 tackles. Harold Landry coming in to make the play. The Titans call a timeout as the Jags choose to bring the field goal unit out onto the field. 23-yard attempt is good, and the Jaguars are back up by 7. 17-10, Tennessee has 47 seconds and 2 timeouts. 1st and 20 after a holding call. Nice throw up the middle here for Kyle Phillips, who gets the first down and then some. Tried to go out of bounds, but he couldn't, so the Titans are trying to move quickly. Down to 20 seconds and 1 timeout. Willis is sacked on the play, and the Titans are forced to use that last timeout. That was Chad Muma with the QB takedown. Now a 3rd and 10. Titans got to look for the sideline here as it's caught by Beckham. Not out of bounds. I think the route was for him to go out of bounds, but Malik Willis timed the pass a little bit too early, and Tennessee would not be able to get back to the line of scrimmage to spike the ball. 17-10, your score here at halftime. The Jags hold the lead. We'll see if the Titans can pull off a comeback here in the second half as we take a look at our weekly halftime report around the rest of the NFL here in Week 14 as we start in the Lone Star State. A battle of the 2 Texas teams. We've got an upset brewing here. The Texans have not won since Week 1. They would score the first 14 points. However, right before the break, the Cowboys would answer with this touchdown pass to James Washington from quarterback Dak Prescott. 14-7, your score. The Texans are tied with Detroit for the worst record in the league, and I guess the Clyde Williamson sweepstakes. On Thursday Night Football, a very one-sided match in Inglewood, California. The Rams dominated the Raiders 35-10. Cooper Kupp would score twice in this game. Cam Akers played pretty well too, and the Raiders' playoff chances look like they are just about dead. Good win for the Rams, who are now half a game ahead of the Packers for the number 1 overall seed in a very, very weak NFC. And finally, we've got some snow falling in Buffalo. That has not fazed the Jets, who have looked pretty solid so far. The rookie running back, Breece Hall, would punch it in here for a touchdown. However, the Bills would respond late in the half. Josh Allen off his back foot connects deep with Stephon Diggs, who mosses DJ Reed. 14-9, the Bills own the lead over the New York Jets. Let's look at the game plan here for the second half. King Henry has been dominant, but since we're down, I think we need to focus on throwing the ball. Malik Willis has not looked his best here in this first half. And then on the other side of the ball, the Jags offense has honestly been quite impressive today. Gonna really focus on the pass, but they've also ran it well too. James Robinson's been pretty good. So the Jaguars would spend the first 5 minutes of the third quarter marching down the field slowly but surely. They now have it in the red zone as James Robinson gets the first down off the screen, gaining around 10. Bringing it to the 12. However, the Jags are going to move even farther in. A late hit on Jeffrey Simmons, who gets called for the roughing the passer. That'll bring Jacksonville half the distance to the goal line, to the 6-yard line. Now from the 5, 3rd and goal. The Jags have had the ball for over 6 minutes. Can the Titans defense get a stand in the red zone? Lawrence, under pressure, throws it away. Harold Landry, amongst others, making the play in the backfield. And so that'll bring the field goal team out. That was a long, exhausting drive from the Jaguar offense. Credit to the Titans defense for making a stand in the red zone. However, the Jaguars do lead now by 2 scores, 20-10. The Titans have it back, looking to respond late as it's a handoff for Derrick Henry, who breaks a tackle, still in the zone. I've got to say, the Titans' run blocking today, who has been up and down this year, has been really, really good. And obviously, Derrick Henry has been fantastic as well. 3rd and 6, Willis goes short for Kyle Phillips, who drops it. Broken up by the Jacksonville defense, and the Titans are going to be forced to punt it away with under a minute left in the quarter. Jags have it back, 3rd and 9. Here's Trevor Lawrence looking to throw it. He's going to take a shot deep downfield in double coverage. Broken up. Good defense there by the Titans. Chenault was the intended target. Trevor Lawrence just said, F it, I hope something good happens. And, well, something good did not happen. Tennessee with it back. What a throw to end the third quarter from Malik Willis into the hands of Odell Beckham Jr. 20-10, Jacksonville leads. The Titans have some damage control to do here in the fourth. If we see more throws like that from Malik Willis, then it's certainly possible the Titans can make a comeback. Derrick Henry with plenty of room up the middle, stiff arms for safety, and gets 17 yards. Derrick Henry is still averaging over 10 yards a carry. That is insane. 2nd and 3. Here's Willis rolling out to the right under a lot of pressure. He's going to launch a dime in the end zone for Odell Beckham for a touchdown. What a throw by Malik Willis. One of his best as a pro so far, under a lot of pressure, but he stayed calm, found Beckham. It seems like OBJ is definitely the receiver that Malik Willis trusts the most, and Beckham is having one hell of a day. 20-17, Jags have it back, 2nd and 4. Lawrence under pressure, he is sacked. Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry, each in the backfield, registering half a sack, forcing a loss of around 14 yards. That'll make it a 3rd and long here for Jacksonville. If the Titans can get a stop here, that could really change the game. Lawrence under pressure, throws it away. The Titans defense has been really strong here in this second half, and now they have an opportunity to take the lead here on offense. Willis with clean rushing room up the middle, slides past the 50 for a first down run. Good read by Willis to recognize the open run lane created by the center and the right guard, Jones and Davis. 3rd and 8, Willis with a strike for Derrick Henry. What a perfectly placed throw into the breadbasket. Good job by Henry to hold on to the ball despite really tight man-to-man coverage. From the 25 now, Willis under center, under 6 to go. Willis rolls out to the right here once again. He is going to look for Beckham, who catches it just shy of the end zone at the 1. Willis has had some really nice throws on the run here in this second half. 1st and goal, Willis looks to throw it. He's going to dump it off short for O.J. Howard, and the Titans take the lead here in the 4th quarter. The Titans were down 20-10 opening up the quarter, and now with 4.5 to go, they have the lead. We'll see if the defense can get another stop. 3rd and 7, Lawrence throws it away. Tennessee's defense forces another 3 and out. That'll force a punt, and now the Titans have an opportunity to chew the clock and look to end the game. Looks like a really good punt. Cannon's not going to go for it. That might have been a mistake as it rolls down to the 6-yard line. What a punt by Logan Cook. So the Titans have the ball, 4 minutes to go. It is a 3rd and 6. Willis looks to throw it. He goes up the middle for Phillips, and I don't think he got it. He caught the ball beyond the yards marker, but was tackled behind it. Great work by the Jaguar defense, and with 3 minutes and 11 seconds, the Jags offense has an opportunity to win the game. Tennessee's defense has been clutch here in the second half. We'll see if they can get another stop, although the Titans are starting with really good field position at the opposing 47. Good start to the drive for the Titans. Oh, he was incomplete. Kirk did not get both feet in bounds. That could prove to be a big deal. 3rd and 6. Lawrence with a shot for the end zone, incomplete. Overthrows Kirk. Great coverage by Monty Hooker. 4th down and 6. The Jags are going to elect to go for it. Lawrence with a strike back to Christian Kirk, who seems to be the go-to guy here on this possession. He makes the play to the 26-yard line, wrapped up by Malden. And that'll bring us to the 2-minute warning. This is anybody's ball game. 24-20. The Titans hold the lead, but the Jaguars have it inside the 30-yard line at the 26. 3rd and 10. It's a run up the middle. Robinson dives forward. Interesting play call there. So now it's a 4th and 4. The Jags are going to go for it, and Lawrence throws it right into the hands of Christian Fulton, who gets the interception. A horribly mistimed pass there by Lawrence. Fulton with his 2nd interception in as many weeks. 3rd of the season. That's his 1st interception, not to go for a pick 6. And now Tennessee has an opportunity to end the game. 3rd and 5. Minute 20 to go. Willis rolls out to the right. He's going to keep it himself. Willis breaking tackles. What a run as he goes out of bounds at the 49. He should not have looked to go out of bounds there, but still, what a run by Malik Willis. 3rd and 10. Jags out of timeouts. The game definitely on the line as it's going to be a fake. Willis has an open man downfield. It's Westbrook Akine, but he completely misfires the throw. You cannot miss that pass. And now the Jags, with 50 seconds, have an opportunity to win the game. They need to score a touchdown with no timeouts. It's not going to be easy, but it is certainly possible. 1st and 10 at the 26-yard line. Here's Trevor Lawrence. Goes downfield. It's caught by Jones, who is out of bounds at the 44-yard line. Big play for Jacksonville. It's a gain of 30. Following play, 45 seconds. Lawrence looks to throw it again. He's under pressure. Goes downfield. Nearly intercepted by Hooker. Nearly caught by Kirk. Both of them played the ball too perfectly to where neither of them was able to make a play. 2nd and 10. Lawrence goes downfield again. What a catch! Marvin Jones puts Fairley on a poster. Following play at the 14. Lawrence heaves it up for the end zone. It's a touchdown! Laviska Shenault and the Jaguars take the lead with under 15 seconds to go. Lawrence just threw it up, hoping to get lucky. 4 Titans defenders in the area, but none of them are able to get to the football. And the Jags lead it 27-24 with 14 seconds left. The Titans do have all 3 timeouts, and all they really need is a field goal. Willis on 1st down incomplete. 5 seconds taken off the clock as Randy Bullock is warming up on the sideline. He has not missed a kick all season, and the Titans may need him to be clutch. 2nd and 10. Willis with a strike from his sidelines. It's caught by Beckham. With only 5 seconds to go, the Titans realize they're probably not going to get 2 more plays off, so they got to run the Hail Mary now. Tennessee successfully completed a game-winning Hail Mary earlier in the season. The pass is incomplete, and the Jaguars pull off the come-from-behind win, 27-24. So I will say the Jags, I feel like, were the better team for most of the game, but we had the lead in the 4th quarter. We had the game won, but a couple mental blocks on that second-to-last drive from Malik Willis, running out of bounds on that really nice run, and then misfiring that last pass for Westbrook-Ikhine. I thought Willis was pretty bad in the first half. He was pretty good, however, in the second half. Again, minus very late in the game where we pretty much lost it. Trevor Lawrence was fine. Both running games were really good. Derrick Henry with nearly 80 yards after contact. James Robinson was great too, scoring twice. Marvin Jones and Odell Beckham of each over 100 yards apiece. Beckham looked really good. That injury appears not to be an issue, but we need the other receivers to definitely step up. And then the defense was David Long's first game all season without a tackle for a loss, ironically enough. We only had 1 sack. That's got to go up. We did have the late interception by Christian Fulton, which should have iced the game. But since we choked, that didn't happen. Here's a look at the scores around the rest of the league. The Texans still lost, along with Detroit, so the Tank Bowl lives on. As for the players of the week, we got Jalen Hurts, Jason Verrett, CJ Mosley, and Mr. Broncos Country. Let's ride. So obviously with us losing, we're not currently in the playoff picture. Even with the Jags winning, they're not even in. That's how deep the AFC is. We're currently 2 games behind the Colts, 1 game behind the Jaguars. The Colts are on a 9-game winning streak here with 4 games to go. They play against all teams who are under 500. So at this point, I don't think we can realistically expect to pass the Colts for the division. I think our best chance here is with the wild card. And unfortunately, the AFC has so many teams right in the thick of things. We are a game behind the Chiefs and the Jaguars, who are a game behind the Dolphins, who are the 7th seed. So we're 2 games behind the number 7 seed with 4 weeks to go. In terms of tiebreakers, we lost to the Bills, we split the Colts, we lost to the Chiefs and the Broncos, we beat the Bengals, and we lost our first of 2 against the Jaguars. And as we look at our last 4 games, we have the Chargers, who are kind of in the battle, the Texans, the Cowboys, and the Jaguars. So realistically, we have to beat the Chargers and the Jags because they're in the race. Let's say we split the other 2 games. We beat Houston. There's no way we lose to Houston. And let's say we lose to Dallas. So we go 3-1. That'll mean we're 10-7. I don't know if that's enough because the 7th seed currently is 9-4. So we realistically are probably going to have to win out with how good the AFC is. So we've certainly got our hands full here if we want a playoff spot. But nonetheless, I hope everybody enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.